Hello and welcome to all our friends joining us from around the world. It's Rena here from Sofiri, coming live to you from Australia, along with Devarshi Desai of YouTube channel Melbourne Vibe. Welcome, Devarshi.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. So today we're talking about your experience studying and living in Australia and about your advice for future international students too.
Yeah.
Devarshi, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I'm doing Masters of Business at Monash University in Melbourne. I started my course in July 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the third semester that is going on right now. And I'm working for international students, like trying to bridge the gap of information because a lot of things that have been told in different countries, they may not be accurate than what it is in Australia. So through Melbourne Vibe, that is our YouTube channel, we are trying to bridge that gap. And soon we are getting into accommodation and helping students with accommodation.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. I think it is great to hear directly from you because you're here living the experience. So
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for joining us today.
thanks for
Um,
having me.
the agenda for our chat today,
Yeah.
for all of our friends joining us here today, is to begin by talking about some mistakes that are very easy to make for those of us traveling to and studying in a new country. And then we're going to open up the session for a question and answer segment where we'll take any questions that you have for Devarshi here today. And then we'll wrap up the session by taking you through a tutorial on how to get your own education counsellor so you can continue the conversation one-on-one. So for our friends joining us here on Facebook today and our webinar, send us an emoji or a greeting to let us know you're here. And shoot us any questions that come to mind throughout the session and we'll answer them as we go. Okay. So Devarshi, your YouTube video called 5 Mistakes International Students Make has been another one of your most popular videos. And was this list created based on your own experience?
Yeah, 100% based on my experience and my friends' experience.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of times, as I told you, the information gap is a lot. So a lot of times, the information that we receive when we are back in our countries, they're not very accurate from the things that we receive, that we get to know when we come here.
Yeah.
So that was the primary reason why I thought that how to make most of your international, education. Like what are the things that you should not do so that you can make the most of it. So that was the primary reason of this video.
Yeah, thanks. So let's start talking through 5 of these mistakes that you'd like to help international students avoid when they're moving to Australia. So number 1 is about the mistake an international student might make in spending most of their time with other people from their home country. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you meant by this and why it's a mistake?
So I wouldn't say that it is actually, so I don't think mistake is the right word when I think about it right now, but it's like a missed opportunity.
Okay.
So what happens is that, and even if I talk about myself, the first 10 friends that I had made were from India or nearby nations.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being that there is a lot of similarities, may it be culture, may it be skin color, may it be, you just feel very comfortable when you're with somebody who is just like you.
Yeah.
But when you do that, then there is no point going to another country to study, like all across the world. And that's the primary thing, that if I can make friends from all across the world, and very simple thing, that if tomorrow I want to go and travel, and if I have friends in a lot of countries, then the whole experience becomes better. So that was the thing, that if you just hang out with people from your country, you're just missing out on a lot of things. And I think I very strongly believe that students should open up and tell other people about their country and should be open to knowing about other things.
Yeah, it's like a knowledge exchange or a culture exchange. You're giving people something by sharing yourself and your culture with them, and they're doing the same for you. That's part of global or an international experience, part of the
It
purpose,
is,
right?
it is, it is.
Yeah. Great. Well, the second point that you made was about ensuring a balance between study and play. And I think this is something Australian students and all students struggle with too. But
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about your experience in finding
Um,
balance.
yeah, actually, this is important because if I talk about Monash or, like decent or even any university, first of all, international students, majority of the countries, English is not their first language. And then they have to come here and study really hard. And because they don't want to fail, and I'm not against like not studying hard or anything, like you should study hard. But because they study hard so much or spend so much time in libraries and other things, that's why I think that they like students that I know are missing out on a lot of things that they should do. For example, here in Melbourne, Melbourne Fashion Week is going on, and then Melbourne Cup will come, or all other things. It may not be like very expensive. A lot of events are free, but because students may not be aware of it, and their vision, the tunnel vision, is so much that they just want to study or just want to work and don't want to explore much. So that is the primary reason that we have realized in students, and I think that is a mistake that shouldn't be done. They should find their own balance.
I think that's and I think that's an important point too, because everyone's balance might be a little bit different, depending on what you're studying, depending on where you live, and just your personality as well. But I definitely see what you mean by that too. And I'm sure we'll have a few questions from our viewers about that point as well.
Yeah.
So the third point that you made in your video was encouraging us to travel and explore the Australian city we're living in more. So tell us more about this. Do you think international students should travel more or less while they're studying?
Well, it is actually interrelated with finding the balance. So, like if I study here for 2 years, but if I don't come to Tasmania, or I don't go to Sydney, or I don't go to Brisbane, which is like such amazing cities, then I am missing out on a lot of things. And what I personally believe is that international students, when they're studying, those 2 years or 3 years or 1 year or 4 years are the most important thing, because that's when they have the least responsibilities. They can live in, they can compromise things, live in small places or whatever, like save money, and that money they can spend in traveling. For example, I recently went to Sydney, and I realized that Sydney is very similar to one of the cities in India, Bombay.
Okay.
And the reason why it is similar is because in the British era, they had the same architect. And
Interesting.
that is so crazy. And I just couldn't believe it, because, Mumbai is really close to where I live, and I have spent like years there. So that is so cool. So these things, only if they explore, they'll get to know.
Yeah.
So I think traveling is like very important, even if not other cities. There are a lot of weekend gateways, and you can always rent a car, share the rent with whatever 4 or 5 friends that you have, and then you can go, and it'll be cheap, and you'll explore, you'll see different places. And isn't Australia like really famous for road trips?
Very famous. We love road trips here.
Yeah. I think that should be a priority for international students.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if as you say, there are Australian cities that are quite close together as well. Say Sydney and Canberra, or Melbourne and Canberra, or Melbourne and Sydney even. And you can drive, or you can even fly as well. And it's such a short flight. You're in Melbourne now, and I'm in Hobart, Tasmania, and that's a 50-minute flight. And it's something you can do on the weekend.
And also if you actually plan well in advance, you'll get like super amazing deals on flights.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's something that people should know.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So number 4 on the list of mistakes we want to help future international students avoid is not making enough time to enjoy their life while they're in Australia. So we've talked about finding balance, and we've talked about traveling. But you've spoken about people who may be more inclined towards all work and no
Yeah.
play. So
Yeah.
what's your experience on this, or the experience of your friends who are also international students in terms of all work and no play?
Yeah. So this is actually for people who have been told that it's, like you can work 20 hours, but then if you want to work more than 20 hours, you can work in cash, which is illegal. And a lot of students should know this, that if they actually do that, they risk losing their visas.
The visa, yeah.
So that is massive. And another thing is that there is no doubt that it is extremely difficult when, especially when your currency is not as strong as Australian dollars, because then you would be paying a lot of money. And that's why the first thing, in fact, like, to be very honest, the first thing that I came here, before even finding the house, I was finding a job. And I know that is hundreds and thousands of students who are doing this. Like, this is a fact, right? And it is very difficult. It's not easy. But at that time, somebody had told me, a senior had told me that, Devarshi, what you're doing is, like, there is more things to do. And but still, the first thing I did was to get a job. Then, I was making pizzas and this, that. I did that job, another job, and then realized that what I'm doing is actually not what is required.
Yeah.
But that realization is very important. And that's exactly why I decided to, do something that I really like. So not only I decided to have a job, but also decided to make videos for international students. And that's how Melbourne Vibe was created. And I think the people that I've met, like a lot of Australians that I've met who are into YouTube, who are following their passion, who are into startups. So that is very important. And you'll only meet those people if you're not, if you're smart about working. So that is very important. So if students just work like 89, like 60 hours or 50 hours or 40 hours.
While they're studying.
Yeah, while they're studying. So not only they're going to, get bad grades, but also it's going to affect their life later.
Yeah.
They're missing out on the main experience, that the reason why they're here for.
Yeah, it's about having a quality of life as well, right?
It
makes sense that you want to earn money, or that you need to earn money even while you're studying. But I think your example is a really good one, where you can think of, or you can find ways to work, but enjoy your work as well, rather than, working crazy hours in a job that you don't love.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the last one on your list that you had in your first video, just quickly, I'll mention again to everyone who's joined us here today that we are about to open up to our question and answer segment. So if you have any questions about what it's like to live and study in Australia, we have international student here with us, Devarshi, to answer any of your questions. So please start writing them down, and we'll get to them in a minute. But the last mistake on the list that you had that you'd like to see future international students avoid is the mistake of not getting involved in clubs and university societies and things like that. Can you tell us a bit more about that, Devarshi?
So what happened was, generally, September is the time when there are elections. So depending on the university, there are different times when there are elections. So what happened when I came was, September was the time when there were elections, and I was just, I think, 2-3 months in the country, and I just received an email that this is what the elections are. This is what your roles and responsibility would be. There's only one position for first semester, and I'm like, why not just go for it? And I actually won the elections, and and those things went quite well. The whole experience was great. So that is one thing. Second thing is that there's so many clubs, not just like, for example, Indian club or South Asian club or Chinese club or South American club, not just like those, but dancing club, for example, or guitar club or drama club, if you're interested in. So these, ultimately, I think primary thing is to meet people, make quality connections. And that you can only do if you meet people with your interest. And that you can only meet because those people are going to come in that club because they have the same interest. For example, somebody who's not interested in dancing would never join a dancing club, So I think that is very important. Then universities, spend a lot of money because every club gets certain amount of funding for to do things for students. So I think it's students who should make the most of these things.
Yeah, for sure. And there's some really great clubs and societies that are available at
Yeah.
universities. You can do things like join a hiking club,
Yeah.
a whitewater rafting club. I think there are board games clubs at some universities. If you have an interest, you can make a university club out of it and meet like-minded people, exactly as Devarshi said, and it's a great way to make friends and get involved in your new life in Australia. So,
Yeah.
great. So what we're going to do now is move over to our next segment,
Yeah.
which is our Q&A.
Yeah.
So if you've joined us on Facebook, please pop a question in the comments section or just an emoji to let us know you're there. We've got a few people here in our webinar as well on Zoom. So if you pop a question in the Q&A panel here in Zoom, we'll get to those questions very soon as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you all, but I have a question here waiting in our webinar. And the question is about your comments, Devarshi, that encourage people to travel. And the question is, how much does it cost to travel between Australian cities?
Okay, so let's talk about Melbourne, Sydney, or Melbourne, Brisbane. So if you actually get a good deal, your flights are probably going to cost less than $150.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always Airbnb it, or if you don't know couch surfing, you can always do that, and live with people who are, Australians, and enhance your whole experience. So personally, when I had gone to Sydney, the whole trip cost less than $200 because we were a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah. So and also we were driving. We didn't take flights. We got a car and we're going to have a road trip experience in Australia. So we drove for like 9 hours straight or 8 hours straight. And that's what it was. So if there are like multiple people, like 3-4 people in the same car or friends going, then probably you wouldn't be able to get very expensive trips. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. So I guess when you look at a map of Australia at nighttime, you can see, the lights along the east coast.
Yeah.
You know that's where most of our, quite a few of our capital cities and our population lives. So, East Coast Australian road trips are certainly something that we do a lot here in Australia. And catching a flight between the cities along the east coast, all the way from Tasmania, which is right down the bottom, all the way through to the top of Australia, it can be quite cost effective. We do have cities on the western side and in the south and in the north as well, and that tends to take a little bit longer. I don't recommend doing a road trip from Sydney to Perth, for example. That might take you a while. Probably won't get through that in a weekend. But you can certainly fly. So those are all options as well. So I have another question here, and I think it leads on from what we've just been talking about, Devarshi. But the question is it easy to get a driver's license and a car in Australia?
So you'll have to check which country we're talking about. But a lot of countries, when you're on a student visa, you are eligible to drive a car. So if I talk about India in specific, then on student visa, we are allowed to drive a car. But once student visa is completed, we have to get an Australian license. But if you know that you're good at driving, then there is nothing wrong even in getting Australian license, because like every state would have different laws, but it's not very difficult if you know that you can drive well, because ultimately it will be an additional ID for you, which is like valid everywhere. So even if you travel, you don't have to take a passport everywhere. So and cars cost anywhere. So in Australia in specific, the second-hand cars have huge market. So not everybody buys a brand new car. So in that, you can buy a car starting from even $2,000 or $3,000 from anywhere, whichever is the car.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be very expensive if
Yeah,
somebody's
renting a car, it can be quite cost effective as well, especially if you're doing what you said that you did, road tripping to Sydney. It's
yeah,
quite cost effective, especially if you're splitting it between a few people, right?
yeah.
Yeah. We actually have written a blog at Sofuri on getting your driver's license in Australia across all of our states. So I'll pop that in our comments shortly.
Yeah.
So I have another question here. It's similar to one that was asked in our last session together, Devarshi, but Jude has asked about the best ways to make friends with locals. And we've spoken about this already in terms of joining clubs and societies, but maybe we can talk through that again a little bit.
Yeah. So, best way to make friends. Now, first thing is that you have to be outgoing. Because think about it. Who do you like to talk to? Somebody who's always smiling, or who's always happy, or who comes and talk to you. So you want to talk. You like to talk to that person. So when will people like to talk to you? When
Mm.
you are outgoing, or you are happy, or when you can make people smile, or you can make people laugh. So that's the first thing to do. Now, once you are the person, who people would love to hang out with, then the another thing is that to go places where, like there's something called Meetup,
Yes.
Meetup. That's an application, that's a website wherein people. So, for example, I play badminton. So there is a group just for people who play advanced level badminton, and every weekend or every Sunday they would meet up, and we will play badminton. The same way what you were talking about was hiking club or similar interests basically. So because you have common grounds to talk about, and which is obviously not your country but your interest, then it becomes really easier for you to make friends.
Yeah, great. So we have time for one more question. And the question here, again, it's similar to what we were asked in our live video session yesterday. But Alan has heard about our reputation for beaches, hiking, and adventures. Do universities help organise any trips? So I guess, that there are the clubs and societies that we've
Yeah.
been talking about, but universities do offer one-off trips as well um, to local areas that you might want to
Yeah.
go to, including beaches. Is that something that you've experienced and taken part in?
Yeah, I personally did not go in the trip that was that was organized by the university. But yes, I definitely know that. That, for example, here in Melbourne, the things to do is like one of the things is Phillip Island, where you can go and see penguins. So a trip is generally organized to Phillip Island, and you have to pay X amount of money, and you can go and hang out with people. So that's really cool.
Very cool. All right, well, that wraps up our session today.
Awesome.
I'll say to everyone who's joined us on Facebook and our webinar to stay tuned because we're going to show you how you can continue this conversation about studying in Australia 101. But for now, I'll say goodbye to Devarshi and thank you again. It's been wonderful to have you join us as part of our live video session over the last 2 weeks. And
Thank you
I'm
so
sure
much for having me. It was a pleasure.
yeah, thank you again. I'm sure that our friends here who've joined us so Fury from around the globe are looking forward to seeing you join us on the panel again. And I'll
Yeah,
say goodbye for
would
now.
love to. Bye bye.
Thank you again. Bye.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining our live video session today. What I'm going to do now is show you how to get your very own Safiri education expert. You'll get free education counselling that is tailor-made for your situation, and you can chat about courses, universities, colleges, whatever it is you're after from your education journey in Australia. They'll also help you make your application and even apply for a student visa if you need one. Alright, here we go. So if you're not already signed up to Sofiri, head over onto sofiri.com and click sign up. Enter in the email address you'd like to use along with a password and hit the sign up button. You'll be sent an email asking you to verify that it was you who signed up with us. So all you need to do here is click through the email and you're in. Okay, so At the beginning, you'll see a quick little video showing you how Safiri works. And I do recommend giving it a watch if you have some time. Once you click on My Profile, you'll need to enter in a few of your details so our education experts can have a good idea of where to begin a conversation with you. We are HTTPS and hosted in Australia, so you can be confident that your details are 100% secure. You'll need to enter in your given name, your surname, your date of birth, your email address, your country of citizenship, your current location, and your phone number. In the additional details box, you can select your highest level of study achieved and your latest degree and language that you prefer to chat in to give your education expert a little bit more information about yourself. Once you've done this, it'll be time to choose your education expert. So you click on Find an Expert, and in the box here, you'll enter in where you'd like to study, what discipline you'd like to study, and your intended level of study. And that's important for you to pop in there because that's information that will again be sent to your education expert so that they can have the best information possible to help inform their advice to you. So I'm having a look at the listings here and I can see that there's Laurie here with 13 years of experience. She's from Sydney, Australia, and she speaks English. So I'm going to read more about Laurie. And I can see that I'm happy with her bio and I'd like to have a chat with her directly. So I'm going to click Choose. So Laurie's online right now. I can see from that little green highlighted box next to her name. And I can expect Laurie to respond to me as soon as she's seen my message. She's got my details, so she knows a little bit about my story and will soon be able to start talking about courses in universities or colleges. Laurie will also make a study application on my behalf once I've chosen where and what I'd like to study. We can make up to 3 applications together, and she'll guide me through the whole process. So this is an important piece of information for you to know, which is that all the guidance and advice and services that Laurie provides me with are completely free. So if I choose to accept my offer at a university or college, I'll pay the same course fees to them as if I'd done it myself with them directly. So Laurie is simply here to make the entire process easier for me. And that's it. So you can head on over now to sofiri.com to sign up. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining our live video session today. And if you head on over to Facebook and find this video recording, feel free to post up any more questions that you have for us about the topic we've spoken about. We're more than happy to answer you. And I hope to see you at more of our sessions in the future.
Looking forward to seeing you join us on the panel again. And I'll say goodbye for now.
We'd love to. Bye-bye.
Thank you again. Bye.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining our live video session today. What I'm going to do now is show you how to get your very own Safiri education expert. You'll get free education counselling that is tailor-made for your situation, and you can chat about courses, universities, colleges, or whatever it is you're after from your education journey in Australia. They'll also help you make your application and even apply for a student visa if you need one. Alright, here we go. So if you're not already signed up to Safiri, head over onto safiri.com and click sign up. Enter in the email address you'd like to use along with the password and hit the sign up button. You'll be sent an email asking you to verify that it was you who signed up with us. So all you need to do here is click through the email and you're in. Okay, so at the beginning you'll see a quick little video showing you how Safiri works. And I do recommend giving it a watch if you have some time. Once you click on My Profile, you'll need to enter in a few of your details so our education experts can have a good idea of where to begin a conversation with you. We are HTTPS and hosted in Australia, so you can be confident that your details are 100% secure. You'll need to enter in your given name, your surname, your date of birth, your email address, your country of citizenship, your current location, and your phone number. In the additional details box, you can select your highest level of study achieved and your latest degree and language that you prefer to chat in to give your education expert a little bit more information about yourself. Once you've done this, it'll be time to choose your education expert. So you'll click on Find an Expert, and in the box here, you'll enter in where you'd like to study, what discipline you'd like to study, and your intended level of study. And that's important for you to pop in there because that's the information that will again be sent to your education expert so that they can have the best information possible to help inform their advice to you. So I'm having a look at the listings here, and I can see that there's Laurie here with 13 years of experience. She's from Sydney, Australia, and she speaks English. So I'm going to read more about Laurie. And I can see that I'm happy with her bio, and I'd like to have a chat with her directly. So I'm going to click Choose. So Laurie's online right now. I can see from that little green highlighted box next to her name. And I can expect Laurie to respond to me as soon as she's seen my message. She's got my details, so she knows a little bit about my story, and will soon be able to start talking about courses and universities or colleges. Laurie will also make a study application on my behalf once I've chosen where and what I'd like to study. We can make up to 3 applications together, and she'll guide me through the whole process. So this is an important piece of information for you to know, which is that all the guidance and advice and services that Laurie provides me with are completely free. So if I choose to accept my offer at a university or college, I'll pay the same course fees to them as if I'd done it myself with them directly. So Laurie is simply here to make the entire process easier for me. And that's it. So you can head on over now to sophiery.com to sign up. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining our live video session today. And if you head on over to Facebook and find this video recording, feel free to post up any more questions that you have for us about the topic we've spoken about. We're more than happy to answer you, and hope to see you at more of our sessions in the future.